amazing Arabella, and I'm here with
JD the Kid.
And we are about to be doing I think it's called a roundtable junket for the Incredibles #2 movie, which I'm really excited for.
The first film was like my favorite.
It was like
all time.
Yeah,
it was, like
it was
the
so
one.
amazing. And now we're going to be doing the second film, which is just crazy. So let's get inside and ask some questions.
You have powers! Yeah, baby!
So I guess my first question would be, 14 years, long time, with the advancements in animation technology, CGI technology, did that present any challenges with bringing back old characters and old styles and sort of meeting, like using those styles but using new technologies? Did you find that there was...
No, it actually meant that we could make the characters how we originally intended to. It's just that we were on the edge of what computers were capable of doing back then. And so we got close to our designs and certainly closer than I ever dreamed we would. But now it looks the way we intended the first film to look.
Yeah, the character sculpting has become much more sophisticated and nuanced, as well as the way we put what is basically known as an armature. The articulation is much more sensitive as well.
Artistically and animation-wise, where did you draw your inspiration for the film? Perhaps lands and other sceneries?
I mean, I think you draw it from life. I think that modern animators, my generation and after of animators, have the benefit and the curse of all the previous work that's been done and how accessible it is. When I was a kid, it was very hard to study animation. You had to basically, I just went to the films over and over again and saw them at sound speed, and if I liked a scene, I couldn't go back to that scene. I had to wait for the next showing and just stay in the theater and wait for, here it's coming, oh, it's coming. So it was very different than now, where you can, anyone can, you know, with a DVD player can play it in slow motion and study it. So the blessing of that is that you can study the work that comes before it. The curse of that is that you can just regurgitate things that you've seen before. And all of my heroes in animation didn't have any animation to study because it was too new of an art form. So they went outside of animation. They looked at paintings, they looked at films, they looked at art, they looked at their Uncle Louie, and that's where they got stuff for their scenes. And I think that that's a really good thing for new animators to do, is to look outside of animation and then bring new ideas into it.
Yeah, certainly we brought in a number of small children for reference to Jack. Lots of filming.
Oh yeah, that's just doing the job.
Yeah, a lot of them, you know, stumbling around and how's that going to work, and that's, so I think that's...
You draw from life.
From life.
Yeah, I was going to say you draw from your own life as well, not that maybe mostly from your life in terms of the storytelling.
Well, and you should mention the husband and wife team.
That's right. We had a husband and wife team animate the scene where Bob and Helen are in the bedroom.
Oh, wow.
So the wife animated Helen and the husband animated Bob, and they'd never actually worked on a scene together before, so it was a really big deal for them to do that. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. And one side firmly represented male cluelessness.
Yeah. Those two are sadly no longer together, but that's...
That's
true.
They're very happily.
That scene, doing that scene is
I think it
strained the marriage
Yeah.
to the breaking point.
Cathartic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the other two have asked really like animation-based questions, and I just flew to DC to see the film, and it was really good. I really enjoyed
thank
it.
you.
Yeah, and I actually had a question more about the characters, and specifically Jack and powers and everything, because he has lots of powers, as obviously, I think it said 17, and
it's a lot.
It's also said that it's common for children to have multiple powers as when they're young. And is that something you can add to the lore? And did Violet and Dash have multiple powers?
Well, I think that everyone, I mean, the idea of The Incredibles is that you use superpowers to comment on roles within the family.
Yeah.
Men are always, fathers are expected to be strong, so I made him have super strength. Mothers are pulled in 10 different directions at once, so I had her stretch, etc. And the idea of babies is that they're unknown potential, and they could be nothing. They could be the guy that yells about socialism on the corner. You kind of go, yeah, okay. Or it could be somebody who cures cancer, and you don't know.
Yeah.
And so that's what it's meant to represent, is that babies are potential.
Yeah.
And some people have come up to me when I'm drawing something and said, oh, I wish I could draw. And I always look at them and go, you did once. You just weren't interested in it. But all young kids draw, and they're all kind of good in their own way because they're expressing themselves. And it's just that some maintain interest in drawing and others don't. And that's kind of what we do. And then there are some people who maintain interest in everything, and they're able to do a number of things well because they're interested in a number of things. So I think humans are capable of far more than we think we are, and our minds limit us rather than free us.
All right. Testify. I think we're done here. Humanity is covered now.
So I wanted to ask, who are your favorite characters in the movie and why?
I love Violet. I have 2 daughters and a brand new granddaughter, and I think she's, and I enjoyed my time when my daughters were teenagers, and so they
Just discovering cynicism.
Yeah, she reminds me of them, and I love that.
I really love all of the characters, I mean, to be honest, but the one that jumps into my mind right now is Void, who's a new superhero. She's a young woman coming into her own powers, and she really looks up to Helen, and I really enjoy Sophia Bush's performance of her.
And I genuinely am perplexed about all the characters because they're all really, even the villain, different sides of me, so I feel like I understand them all, and when I'm upset, maybe I feel a little more sympathy for the villain, and on a good day, I feel more like Helen. So it's really all of the characters. They're pulled from my own family, the family that I grew up in, and the family that I have with my wife and kids. So it's all of that kind of stirred together.
What's your favorite superhero movie and why?
I like The Dark Knight. I think it's ambitious. I think it's smart. I think he found a way to take really kind of an unbelievable thing, like a guy dressing up as a bat and a guy looking like a disturbed clown, and making them kind of oddly credible and believable. And I liked the ambition of that. So that's probably my most favorite. But I also have affection for Superman and Black Panther and Wolverine last year. Or what was that one movie called? Logan. Yeah, that was a really smart superhero movie. So the ones that kind of go beyond and try to do new things and maybe take chances, those are the ones that are more interesting to me.
I really liked Wonder Woman. I mean, I sound like, this little feminist here.
No.
But have to represent. But no, I liked it because it was fun to see a female superhero at the center of the story.
Well, and she looks genuinely like she can kick some ass.
I think she actually can.
I think she can. Wasn't she trained as an...
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, okay. Well, there you go. It's authentic.
And but she also has details that really reflect the female experience. There's a moment in the movie where she's finally walking into the real world and someone has a baby and she goes, ooh, a baby. And it's just this funny little detail that I really related to. She's a superhero, but she really thinks babies are cool.
Yeah. Hey.
I love Black Panther. I think we've tried in our work to use sort of popular culture and sneak some messages in under the tent, and I thought they did that really well. That it's a big, great, funny exciting movie, but it has a lot to say about what's going on in the world.
Animation-wise, was there anything that was particularly difficult that you're really proud overcoming in the film, in the process of making it?
Of overcoming?
Yeah.
Probably it's the same thing that was really hard in the first film, and that's when you're representing somebody who has strength. How do you interpret that versus that the props are light? When I first went on the first film to the animators, I said, here's what we're up against. And I showed them examples from various films, some that were about superheroes, some that were science fiction shows, where somebody was trying to convince you that they were strong. And some of them failed miserably. There was a scene from the old original Star Trek TV show where Captain Kirk is throwing these big rocks about this big, and they're clearly made of like paper mache, and he kind of just going nah, and it just looks bad. And then there was another film called Hancock where the lead character, who's a superhero, gets hit by a truck, and the truck is a Mack truck. It's a giant truck, and it impacts him and kind of flips. And I said, how much does Hancock weigh? And I said, does he weigh more than the semi? Which he would have to make the semi flip. And if he weighs 4,000 pounds, why doesn't every step he takes crack the sidewalk? I said, this is not physical, and this is what you're up against, because we're also making a cartoon. And so people in their minds are going to say it exists in the same universe as the coyote and the Roadrunner, where the coyote falls off a mile-high cliff and doesn't break any bones, dusts himself off, and handles the next scene.
So birds tweeting around.
Yeah, some birds tweeting around or something like that. But we don't want to do that because we want the audience to genuinely worry about our characters. We want them to worry that they're not going to survive, because that makes it intense. So we have to very clearly observe the laws of physics and then twist them in a way that seems believable. So when Bob lifts up those big rocks that have the sort of heads in the first Incredibles in order to go into the lava room, it takes a lot for him to do that. He's easily thrown off balance, and it's not comfortable for him to do it. And by the same token, when he's about to get hit with a train, he braces for impact, because this is not going to feel good. He can take a hit from a train, but it's not like it's nothing. It hurts. And so he goes, right before the train hits him, and that's a superhero I can get behind, because, it hurts. Yeah.
I have a sort of nerdy answer to that. On the first film, I worked on cloth and hair, and one of the most challenging bits was when they got wet, when they remember the plane crashed and they were in the water, and
to do it convincingly.
It just, I have to say, isn't as convincing as we wanted it to be in the first movie. And now we did
well under the surface.
We did the best
Since
we
nobody
could.
knew how to do it.
We did the best we could. But on this film, Dash jumps into the pool, and you see him when they're first in the new house. And he comes out and he does this shake like a dog, and the water sprays everywhere. It's hilarious. We didn't struggle the way we did in the first film to make it convincing. I mean, there was a little iteration.
And it's believable.
And it's believable. And then there's another scene where Violet sprays water out of her nose. I won't tell you why.
Don't want them to expect that moment.
And it was a real achievement. We even had to change it in the middle, and they turned it around just like that.
Yeah, at this point, we're just showing off. It's like, we're just gratuitous.
You make it seem like it's not hard, though.
It is very hard,
yeah.
But it's like we could do it in ways that we couldn't do it
This
before.
Vi's hair.
Vi's hair, like her blow drying her hair. I mean, that would have sent people into the
cardiac
hospital on the first film. You want us to do what?
Yeah.
And it wasn't easy, but it was achievable in a reasonable amount of time.
Yeah.
Are there any particular Easter eggs that are in this film that we should look out for? Because I saw A113 specifically, and
you saw one A113 or
more? I saw one. Okay.
So you think you're done with your A113s?
I know the Pizza Planet truck wasn't in the first one. So, but I've heard it's in this one. I didn't see it, and I've been told the Luxo ball is in there. Are there any other Easter eggs that we should be looking out for?
There are several.
Other than the obvious.
But we're not going to tell you where.
Okay.
Maybe just become eggs.
Yeah, they're no longer Easter. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's another Toy Story 4.
Yeah, I was expecting that one.
But the thing is because nobody's seen Toy Story 4 yet, because we haven't finished it, they won't know what from Toy Story 4 is in The Incredibles until they see Toy Story 4.
So then you have to go back
Yeah.
and see.
Well, like there's an appearance by Doug in Ratatouille and in Silhouette, but nobody knew it at the time because they didn't know what Doug looked like.
Right.
So there's that.
Sounds like a new character to me.
There you go.
Yeah.
Could be.
Yeah, Lotso was in
Up, yeah.
Yeah.
So what are your favorite scenes from the movie?
Oh gosh. I mean,
I have one scene that I really love. It's between the opening and the end credits. It's a really long scene with a lot of different characters in it.
I love the raccoon.
Yeah, we like the raccoon.
It was the first
fight, yeah.
scene we animated. It was how we launched production. Everyone got behind
It was an idea from the first film, that we couldn't use.
And it really holds up. I mean, I think that I've seen it about 1 million times, and I laugh every single time.
We've watched the raccoon fight many times. And
In
we
fact,
still love
picked
it.
several fights with raccoons.
That's
just
right.
as
Yeah.
research.
We brought in a lot of raccoons and babies, and we'll let them go and see how that.
No, there's going to be one humorless person that's going to see this.
Did really.
Well, I'm shocked! They had an actual baby fighting raccoon.
No, didn't happen. It's a joke.
Will there be an Incredibles 3?
This is akin to coming into a maternity ward where somebody has spent a day sweating and screaming to get a new baby out into the world, and the first thing you say to her is, "How about that next baby?" So we are not in that frame of mind at all. We all are going to continue to promote this film.
right.
Then we're going to aggressively take vacations, and which we will intensely enjoy every second of. And after that, we'll all figure out new things to do. Yes, and you never know.
So the answer is maybe.
Very qualified.
Maybe leaning toward no.
Leaning toward no right now.
So, like, between obviously Incredibles 1 and Incredibles 2, we've had the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yes, and yet only 30 seconds has passed in our film. True. So there you have your comparative universes.
But has like that wealth of sudden popularity in superhero films changed the way you approach Incredibles 2?
It made me really unenthusiastic for a moment because I thought people are superheroed out, and the last thing people are going to want in a couple of years that it's going to take us to make this is another superhero film. But that lasted about 30 seconds, and then I realized that what really made me want to do the first film was that it wasn't really a superhero film. It was about family through the lenses of superheroes. So once I realized and remembered that it was primarily about family, family to me is an inexhaustible great subject for art and stories and all that. So I was depressed for maybe 30 seconds, and then I got over it. And we made the film.
Yes, we did.
Okay guys, so we've now finished at the junket. We had so much fun. I loved asking questions about the movie. I found out a lot as well, which was like really interesting. But I had a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. But if you guys like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and don't forget to leave a comment down below. And I'll see you guys later. So, bye!